on 3FM 92.7. A lot happening in the capital this morning. We just took you on the grounds as the AMA has launched their major decongestion drive in the Central Business District to restore order and sanitation. And especially at a time like this, where we know we are in the rainy season, and the devastation and havoc that the rains cause, especially in decongested areas. Now, on Sunday, May 18th, 2025, Accra experienced nearly 3 hours of some torrential rainfall, resulting in severe flooding across multiple communities. At least 4 people have died, thousands of homes were affected, and significant property damage was reported. Now, the flooding has been attributed to poor drainage, unregulated construction on waterways, and inadequate enforcement of building regulations. Let's connect now with Mr. Samuel Aboagye. He's the Deputy Director General, Protocol and Relief with NADMO. Mr. Aboagye, hello, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you this morning?
Very well, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. We're turning our attention to the flooding that happened over the weekend, specifically Sunday and into Monday, as that rainfall engulfed parts of the capital and beyond. We want to find out what immediate relief efforts has NADMO undertaken for families affected by the flooding.
Right. So we have the operations team out there still rescuing and trying to evacuate. Still assessing the situation, and whilst doing the assessment, they are trying to register victims to give us as an organization who deserves what and who deserves what. So they are still assessing the situation and registering the victims.
According to reports, we are told that 4 persons lost their lives. Can you confirm that?
There's been a reported 1 person dead at Abokobi, and 3 other persons reported dead at Adenta so far.
Okay, and this is information that you are yet to verify, or is this verified?
Well, based on the reports that we have.
All right. Now, how quickly were NADMO teams able to respond to distress calls, and what challenges did they face during relief operations, if any?
Well, so NADMO works with certain organizations, the Ghana Meteorological Agency. We had signals that we are going to experience more rains than usual. So we invited all our regional directors to get us prepared for this. And with the help of Ghana Hydrological Service, we also knew or identified areas that are flood-prone areas. So NADMO as an organization, we were ready for this. We identified areas that are likely to be flooded, and we started doing the education using our platforms, various social media platforms. In the past weeks, you realize that the Director General has been on your show and other TV and radio stations just to give the alert and educate the citizens on what is ahead of us. So NADMO has been doing our best to get the people ready, and also as an organization, get our internal, get our people ready for what is ahead of us. So in the last 48 hours, we've received a lot of calls. Out of the 16 regions, I think most of the calls came from Central Ashanti region in Greater Accra. But it's like everybody is talking about the disaster in Accra. We've tried to educate as much as we can, and NADMO as an organization, we are doing our best with our partner agencies.
Right. Now, are you able to put a number to persons who have been displaced by the rains? And can you provide an update on their current status? What is the support being provided to such persons?
Currently, we have over 3,000 residents that are displaced. When this happens, NADMO as an organization, we identify safe havens. And in collaboration with our partner agents, we try to coordinate residents to these safe havens. As I told you, the operations team is out there doing assessments. So after assessment, we'll be able to conclude on who is deserved this amount of relief items.
Okay, so once the safe havens have been identified, then you can begin to, allocate such persons to the various safe havens?
Right.
Okay. Are there ones that are currently identified, let's say safe havens that are staples, so they're always available in case of such emergencies? And how many do we have?
Mostly we use schools that are not in use, churches, town halls, those big and large areas that can accommodate a lot of people. So mostly that's what we use within the community. But I think the Director General is trying to introduce an initiative which I won't jump the gun, but I know with the appropriate time, he's going to address some of these things. We are trying to introduce a prefab structures that if such incidents happened, we can, within the matter of 24 hours, set up some prefab structures to affected victims. But I know with time, the Director General will speak into details on some of these things.
Right. Now, we know that construction on waterways, poor drainage systems in the capital and beyond are major contributors to these recurring floods. What concrete steps is NADMO taking in collaboration with other agencies to address these root causes?
So, NADMO is working with the district assemblies. Most of the times, we see structures on waterways, and the funny thing is that some of these structures have permits. So you ask yourself, who issued this permit for builders to build in waterways? So we are working hand in hand with the district assemblies. Structures that needs to be demolished is going to be demolished, because if we don't, it's going to cause a lot of harm and distractions in our various communities.
What role does NADMO play in enforcing demolition of unauthorized structures on waterways, if that's a role that you are able to play at all?
We only recommend to the district assembly. NADMO doesn't have the authority or powers to demolish.
Right.
So we only identify and recommend to the district assembly for demolition.
I'm sure then that NADMO is working with local authorities to ensure stricter enforcement then of building regulations to prevent this annual canker.
Right.
Okay, I also want to talk about early warning. I think you touched on that at the beginning of the conversation, that you embarked on a drive to sensitize the populace, as it were. And this is, you say, via social media and also traditional media. What was the public's response? And has that been a complicated exercise, getting the message out?
I think we need to intensify our public education and disaster awareness campaign. Because let's not forget, we are not even in the peak season yet. The peak season will be around June, July. These are early days yet. So we need to intensify our public education and disaster awareness campaign so that individuals that throw refuse or rubbish in gutters will desist from that. Because most of the time, even before it rains, our gutters are already full. And definitely this will cause flood. So, and building waterways, and we need to intensify public education on some of these things. Because there are people that doesn't even know, as a result of their actions, when it rains, that it can cause flood.
And how is NADMO ensuring transparency and accountability in the distribution of relief items and support to affected communities? That's a question that often comes up when it comes to the aftermath of these disasters that we see, or the flooding we've seen over the weekend.
So, NADMO, when it has to do with relief items, we can never have enough relief items. So most of the times we prioritize and share relief items accordingly. Even before this disaster, we've had requests all over the country that we need to release relief items. But what happens is that we try to share what we have adequately to the request that comes. So sometimes you might request for five items, but depending on what we have, we can decide to give you 3 or 2, depending on what we have. So most of the times, the public do complain. We'll beg them to bear with us when it has to do with the relief items.
Now, as you say, we're not even at the peak. We've only just really entered the rainy season. How prepared then is NADMO for when things really escalate?
So, as I said earlier on, with the help of Ghana Meteorological Agency, we knew what is ahead of us. And with the Hydrological Service, we've been able to identify areas that are likely to be flooded. So about 2 months ago, the Director General called all the regional directors, and we did our internal assessment and preparations towards this. We've embarked on public education, public awareness, training our staff, so that when some of these things happen, they can be abreast and know what to do. Resource-wise, as I said, we are managing what we have. So when it has to do with relief items, NADMO is trying our best to support as much as we can. So I can say in all, NADMO, we are getting ourselves ready, and we are really ready for the task ahead of us.
And also, how can the public contribute then to flood prevention efforts in their communities, in all of our communities? How do we support NADMO in this task ahead?
Well, we should stop throwing rubbish into the gutters. We should stop building in waterways. And also, I think these are basically some of the things the public can help NADMO when it has to do with flood or disaster.
Mr. Aboagye, thank you so much for your time this morning and for answering our questions.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have me.
Certainly. Again, that was Mr. Samuel Aboagye. He's the Deputy Director General Protocol and Relief with NADMO there. Giving us some insight into the task ahead. And he says there's a lot that's going to be happening. There's some public sensitization which NADMO is embarking on to make sure that we are staying safe before the rainy season actually reaches its peak. And as we're talking about the decongestion exercise, Mr. Abuaji says it's all tied together. We need to decongest, also stop throwing our rubbish in the gutters to make way for water to flow and flow easily. Time check, it is some 28 minutes to the top of the 9 a.m. and this is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
3FM Sunrise.